Hello and welcome into BTN's Take 10 podcast. This is Alex Roux of BTN, and this podcast is brought to you by Northwestern University's School of Professional Studies. Before we get started, a quick word about Northwestern's master's program in sports administration. You can build a solid foundation in the strategic, creative, and analytic skills that are essential for success in the business of sports in the master's program in sports administration at Northwestern University. Find out more at sps.northwestern.edu/sports. All right, and like I said, the presenting sponsor is Northwestern University's School of Professional Studies, so if you want to get a job in sports and get a job at a place like BTN, definitely check out that master's program and follow that link that I just mentioned. All right, now we'll get into the episode. It is a post-Final Four episode of the Take 10 podcast, wrapping up what we saw in Minneapolis as Michigan State made it to the Final Four. Unfortunately fell to Texas Tech in the semifinal, but it was definitely still a great experience for Spartans and for people like me who got to go and get a couple of interviews done at the Final Four and turn them into what will be on this podcast episode. So for this episode today, we have two interviews with a couple of Big Ten head coaches that I was able to track down to the Final Four. The first is with Penn State head coach Pat Chambers. Interviewed him at the Final Four on Saturday, I believe, and then a couple hours later cornered Steve Pikiell, the Rutgers head basketball coach, and chatted with both of them for about 10 or 15 minutes or so. So a couple of great interviews with them coming right up here on the Take 10 podcast. Talk a lot of Final Four, their Final Four memories of just being around the event over the years, and we talked about their respective programs as well. So some good stuff coming up. And following those two interviews, we have our weekly Coll For The Culture segment with Colleen Degnan, where we kind of reflect on the Final Four, some of the happenings around the event. We talk some pop culture elsewhere in the world of sports, and we also finish up our March Madness cities bracket where we rank top U.S. cities bracket style. So definitely don't want to miss any of that. First up, we'll start in the order that the interviews were conducted. So we'll go Pat Chambers, then Steve Pikiell, and then Coll For The Culture. Pat's first up, and we'll get to the interview with the Penn State head coach right now. Very pleased to be joined in the Final Four by Penn State head basketball coach Pat Chambers. Pat, welcome. Good to be with you.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and for those who kind of might not realize, Final Four is kind of much more than an event for just the four teams. Can you kind of describe the obligations for a coach that didn't make it but still wants to be here and be kind of in the surrounding events?
Yeah, so there's a ton of, there's head coaches meetings. There's a convention going on around all of this. So there's some X and O things going on downstairs. I was at a CVC meeting this morning. There's just so much to do surrounding this. You want to meet other coaches, maybe coaches that you've worked with that are now head coaches. So there's a real fraternity, real camaraderie about these 3 or 4 days outside of what you're about to witness in a few hours here.
I assume you can't go too far without running into somebody you've seen, over the years of college basketball.
I compare it to a wedding. If you were getting married, every 2 steps you're like, hey, pleasantries, how you doing, good season, bad season, whatever it is. So that's what it's really like for every day that you're here, really.
Yeah.
But it's cool and it's great to catch up because you're trying to beat each other's brains in throughout the year. So it's great to hang out with like Matt Piener last night and Johnny Beeline, and I saw Izzo walking in the street, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Like, you got a game to run.
I know.
That's awesome.
But that's the type of guy he is. He wants to be out there. So it was cool.
So do you actually go to the games, or do you, I know a lot of coaches kind of fly out. Are you planning on going to the games?
I am. This will be the first time in 16 years, other than 2009, when I was an assistant head associate coach at Villanova playing in the Final Four. So this year I'm actually going to go to the games.
And you said you have meetings and stuff like that. Is there a lot of media obligations that you have to do? You're running around, obviously doing this podcast, you got something coming up. How much of it is media and trying to amplify your brand?
Yeah, so it was good. Last night I did Big Ten Network on the set. I had a lot of fun with Dave and John Crispin. I enjoyed that. I got to get a little bit better at it, but I enjoyed it. Today I obviously have the podcast. I'm going to do Sirius, and then I'll get ready for the games.
Do you have a favorite Final Four memory over the years?
Well, it had to be coaching against Carolina in 2009 at Ford Field. being on Jay Wright's staff and doing all that at the time. So that was amazing. Being in the Boston Elite Eight against Pitt, being able to win that game, Scotty Reynolds, such a big shot, and then just the madness of every weekend going up to the Final Four, and then being a part of that on the biggest stage is something I'll never forget.
Do you remember your first Final Four?
Well, I wasn't a coach. I actually came as a friend of Steve Donahue, who was the head coach at Penn. It was Seattle, which was just, can you imagine? That was my first one. I wasn't even in the business yet.
Was that 89?
It was way back.
Yeah.
I'm talking, I was in my 20s.
Okay.
So it was way back. I was still single. My brother and I went out. I actually went along with Steve Donahue again, and we had a blast.
Do you network at all? Because I feel like I see a lot of young coaches walking around with the smaller school logos on their shirts, and I assume it's a big opportunity for those younger coaches. And I'm just wondering if you have memories of that, and if now today as a head coach at a D1 school, do people ever come up to you and try and come up and try and get a job?
Fortunately for me, I've been very blessed. I did not do that part of it. I came out to hang out with the Big Five coaches, and that was kind of my fraternity, the camaraderie that I was in, and I enjoyed that very much. And I was lucky to be coached by Herb McGee, Dan Doherty back in Philadelphia. So when it was my turn to maybe get a job in Division I, and when Villanova and Jay Wright called, I had those connections, I had those relationships. So I was really blessed in that. But now as a head coach, being in the lobby, I'll give 5-10 minutes to anybody, because everybody needs a chance. I was given a chance. I was given an opportunity, and who's going to be the next guy? So I'll give somebody 5 or 10 minutes and chat with them and hear their 30-second commercial, and kind of just go on my way.
Right. Obviously, we're in a Big Ten city here. I've enjoyed it so far as a Final Four host city. What are some of your favorite Final Four cities and favorite places to visit for this event?
My Final Four favorite city would have to be San Antonio. Had a great time in San Antonio. Great atmosphere. I thought Phoenix was great. I was not in Atlanta, but I remember being in Atlanta a long time ago. That's always a great town. Minnesota's great. I love coming to Minnesota. Obviously, we get to play Minnesota at the barn. Fans are always great, very friendly. A lot of Minnesota fans stop me in the street, say hello, get pictures and stuff. So Minnesotans are treating us well.
Yeah, Minnesota nice.
Yes,
as they call it.
They're a good host.
Absolutely. So, who are some coaches? I know you mentioned running into some guys. Who are some coaches that are known to maybe get after it a little bit, or a good time at these Final Four nights?
What do you mean get after it? Can you?
Who enjoys themselves, and who do you enjoy being around?
Last night we were at a great Nike event, so all the coaches at Nike were awesome. Again, I usually spend a lot of time with John Beilein and Matt Painter, Andy Enfeld, Dana Altman, Cal, chatted with Cal, Bobby Huggins. So, it's kind of a big, group of guys that kind of commiserate together or share stories together, and maybe have a soft beverage together and laugh it up a little bit. And I think we need that. We're under such a microscope, and we're always in front of a camera. To be able to talk to somebody who's in our shoes and kind of going through what we're going through, and no matter if you're Kentucky or Penn State, it's kind of, very different but very similar.
Right. So I want to shift gears a little bit, get into your background. Played at Philly in college. So how would opposing players have described you at the time? Because you're way up there in the leaderboard, and steals, assists. So I'm assuming you maybe got into the skin of some opponents. How would they describe you?
I would say Jamari Wheeler, who's my point guard, or Xavier Simpson. Maybe I wasn't the best shooter, but I'm going to really cause some problems on the defensive end, and I'm going to make everybody better that's around me. And probably a leader. As a point guard, you need to be a leader. You need to lead your team. And Cassius Winston, I'm not Cassius, but I would say that type of leadership. And I compete, and that's the way I coach too. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Right.
But I compete just like those other great point guards that I mentioned.
Right. So you mentioned you were at Villanova, coached at Boston University before ending up at Penn State. So explain to a Midwesterner the major differences between Philly and Boston, just as like cultural cities.
Wow. I think Boston's a pro town with their Sox and the Bruins and the Celtics and the Patriots. But there's great basketball, great college basketball in that town. I was at BU. We went to an NCAA tournament. Matter of fact, when I was at Villanova, and we went to the Final Four. We did it in Boston. We were at the Garden. I think it's TD Garden. Yeah. So I have great memories of Boston. And then I would say Philadelphia is an incredible all-around sports town. Don't get me wrong, they love their Eagles, they love their Flyers, the orange and black, and the Phillies. Who am I missing? Eagles, Phillies, Flyers. Am I missing anybody?
Sixers.
Oh, Sixers. Oh my gosh, the Sixers are playing great right now.
Yeah.
So they love their they love the Big Five. They love basketball.
Yeah.
Here's a great example. I was at the high school Catholic League championship. It was sold out at the Palestra.
Yeah.
We played Michigan State at the Palestra, sold out. So you can imagine.
You beat them, right?
We did.
Palestra,
We beat them there. So to be at that game and to see how much they enjoy their sports. So it's really all around where Boston's more pro.
So you mentioned the pro sports, both cities. Who are your favorite pro sports teams?
You're gonna get me in trouble here. I love Philadelphia teams.
Okay.
I love the Eagles, Phillies, Sixers. I go to Sixers games. Going to the Phillies games coming up. Harper.
They're pretty good. I mean, they're looking good so far.
Let's go. John Beeline's man. John Beeline, he's a big Cardinals fan, so he's all mad.
Beeline's a Cardinals fan?
Oh yeah, die hard.
I like him a little less now. I'm a Cubs fan, so.
I read all about the Cubs.
Yeah.
Because I look at the Cubs, I look at Penn State basketball, I'm thinking, okay, there's similarities here. Read all about what Theo Epstein did, and now Theo was with the Red Sox at the time, so I was at Boston U at the time. So I've been reading about Theo, doing my homework there, but definitely the Philly teams. And then Boston. Like, I love the Red Sox. I went to a ton of Fenway games. Of course, the Celtics with Brad.
Yep, absolutely. All right, shifting gears before we wrap up, Penn State, and what lies ahead for you in this time of year. Just besides recruiting, with the season over, what do you do this time of year? Do you get some downtime, or is it all kind of gas pedal at this point?
It's not gas pedal, but it's keep moving forward. I would say we're making great strides, even though our record's not a reflection of how good we played this year. We were top 50 in the net. Our KenPom numbers were off the charts. Our strength of schedule was off the charts. We're doing a lot of great things. And now we had 2 back-to-back years, first team all Big Ten players. Not done very often for Penn State. So it's player development. We're working on skill development. We're doing some 3-on-3 stuff. We're getting in the weight room, meeting with every player on the team. I'm meeting with the staff. So really setting the tone for the spring and the summer heading into next year. Already got my headset and tentacles thinking about how much better we can be and what we need to do to get there.
Do you get any personal downtime, any vacations, or?
I'm trying to. My staff says I need to find a hobby. Okay. So I'm trying to find some hobbies. You got any suggestions?
We'll work on that. I'll try to think of something.
Because I like golf, but I don't play video games, so that's not my style. I'm not a big social media. I'm not a Twitter.
I'm kind of like you. I'm mostly all sports all the time. I'm not. Like, I like music, but everything's kind of casual. It's like mostly.
I like music. I'm a music guy.
Most of the obsession comes in sports. I can't get away from it. So.
You know what I tried to do? Meditate. I've been trying to meditate.
Okay.
It's not going well.
Maybe can you cook?
No. My wife, if she watches this, she's gonna laugh at that one. You know what I am? I can make eggs.
There you go. I'm like eggs
some
and
pancakes. Are you a noodles guy?
I'm the same way. I'm like noodles, rice.
Yeah.
Anything you can put in the microwave. It's pretty much me.
Yeah. So. Not me.
All right, so we're similar in that sense. This past season, you guys start Big Ten play 0-10. How did you keep your squad from not tuning you out, giving up, and eventually,
It's a great phrase, tuning you out.
Yeah.
You know what? I give a lot of credit to the players and the staff. I think they knew we were close, but sometimes you get down on yourself. Sometimes you lose that confidence. I thought our leadership was fantastic. Lamar Stevens, Josh Reeves, Jamari Wheeler, John Hara, those guys really stepped up. And I think the freshmen became more consistent, and the sophomores became more consistent. And they believed, and they kept showing up. And they knew we were close, and we would watch film and say, we can just win these 5 or 6 possessions, we can flip the script. And we did. I mean, to go from 0-10 to go to 7-10 and get a bye in the Big Ten tournament, almost a little bit of a miracle, to be truthful. And that's how much I'm so proud of our group. If we can keep all these guys together, analytically it says we could be top 5 in the Big Ten next year. We should be a top 25 team next year if we keep everybody. First team all Big Ten. We lose Josh, but we had guys sitting out, and our freshmen become sophomores become juniors. Really a resilient bunch.
Have you got any indication from guys like Lamar or Mike on whether they're going to test the waters or stay?
Yeah, why not? I'm encouraging them too. Like, now that you can hire an agent and you can get some real feedback from some NBA teams, I'm telling them, yes, you got to do it. So I think they're going to do that. I think they're going to proceed down that path, get some good feedback, see where they are, and then we'll go from there.
So what can we expect from Penn State next year and going forward?
I think you're going to see a really good team who's going to build off that month of February and the beginning of March. And we're going to ride that into the summer. We're going to take that into the non-conference. Again, the schedule was top 5 most of the year. I think we're going to learn from all those shared experiences. You can only get better from that. And as long as they have that focus and that determination that we had in February and March, I see really, really good things for Penn State basketball.
All right, Pat, that's all I got for you. Thanks so much for joining me. Enjoy the weekend.
Appreciate it. You too.
All right, thanks a lot to Pat for joining me. Thanks for tracking me down in a busy convention center in Minneapolis where we're able to drown out some of the noise in the background and get a good interview done. So I appreciate him for taking the time. Next, we'll move on to another head basketball coach in the Big Ten. It's Rutgers head coach Steve Pikiell. Steve also was very generous with his time and gave us a great 10 minutes or so. So we'll get right to that. Take 10's interview with Rutgers head men's basketball coach Steve Pikiell. I'm very pleased to be joined here at the Final Four in Minneapolis by Rutgers head basketball coach Steve Pikiell. Steve, thanks for joining me. How you doing?
I'm doing terrific. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here. So first off, what does your Final Four itinerary kind of look like? Because I feel like fans don't really realize that the coaches from all across college basketball come and kind of congregate here.
Well, I tell you, there's a lot of things. You have a ton of meetings, first of all, a couple like clinics. I have my 2 boys with me, so it's my time to catch up too with those guys. We went to the Fan Fest over there, today, and come here and do a couple like TV functions too for Big Ten Network, and then we're heading over to the game, so we'll enjoy those. And then tomorrow I have a couple of awards banquets that I have to go to, and then I'm going to try to sneak in the Timberwolves game. My son's favorite player was Russell Westbrook, so
there you go.
Get a chance to go over there, and he hasn't been to any NBA games, and he's 12 years old, so I got to get him over there. The season is so long that if we could squeeze in the game after the season is great. And then we're staying this year, first time I'm staying in a while for the championship game, so I look forward to that on Monday.
So it'll be a jam-packed weekend. You try to come every year?
I do. I like to come out here, and sometimes depending on the family who I can take with me, so excited, and usually pick up some new drills and meet some people that you haven't seen in a while and talk, and it's always a great time, I say, for people that love basketball.
Do you remember your first Final Four? Were you
actually
coach,
it was out here? I was at UConn, University of Connecticut. I was first-time assistant coach there, and it was here, and I hung out with Glenn Miller, one of my mentors, who was on the staff at UConn at the time, and got a chance to get a taste of it that first time in this city.
Kind of full circle for you then.
Exactly.
Who are some fellow coaches or maybe people in the industry you make sure to try and run into when you're at these type of events?
Well, always Coach Calhoun. I got a chance to play for him, and I actually saw him, this morning. I always like to try to meet with him for lunch or a coffee, what have you. But I like to see all the coaches that I've worked with through the past, years. The assistant coaches now, my tree has grown a little bit. In the coaching circle, one of my assistants, Jay Young, just got the Fairfield University job. So like to see all those kind of people and try to get to as many events as I can.
Obviously, this is a great Final Four city, and there's plenty of host sites that have worked well throughout the years. If there was one city you could pick the Final Four to be in, which one would you select?
My wife loves San Antonio, and she's not with me today because Northwestern women are playing in the WNIT championship, and my daughter Brooke plays on that team. So she's out in Arizona right now with her, but. I like Indianapolis too. I like Minneapolis. They're great cities, and Atlanta does a good job. So, kind of like them all. They're all different, unique in their own way.
Yep. Shifting gears a little bit, I wanted to get into your background a little, and I didn't know until today that you were one of 9 children growing up. What was that like?
Challenging, I would say. I was number 7, so a lot of older brothers and sisters, but great. I had great parents, and. We grew up in Connecticut, and we've all now moved to every different, region in the country, and it's exciting to be from a big family. I got a lot of supporters, and a lot of them following Rutgers Nation now.
A lot of people ask for tickets then too.
You get a lot of that from time to time, for sure.
So you played at UConn. You mentioned Coach Calhoun. Really at the beginning of his successful run there.
So how much credit can you personally take for building UConn into the national power? Like before Ray Allen and Rip Hamilton, it was Steve Pikiell.
I'd like to take a lot of it, but I can't do that to you. I'd be, Coach Calhoun taught me a ton, and I was part of his first recruiting class. Me and a guy named Tate George, were the first two guys that signed on, and just loved my experience. We had a great staff. Dave Lato, who's at DePaul now, Howie Dickerman, the all-time winningest coach in Central Connecticut Division I history. Glenn Miller, who I mentioned, who went on and coached at Brown and did some great things at Penn too. So a lot of really, really great staff members. I got a chance to play and build a program, saw the building from the inside. Then I got a chance to work with Coach Calhoun too. So enjoyed my time at UConn tremendously.
And you stayed on, you alluded to it earlier, and coached there for a year after you graduated. So what was that like, going from the dynamic of being a player to then coaching your former teammates?
You know what? A great experience. So I got a chance 6 years at UConn as a player, and then as a coach, and got to see firsthand from a player's perspective. And then I was fortunate enough to be in those meetings as a coach to really see the reasons why he did what he did. So I think I had the greatest internship you could have. My first year at UConn, we were not very good, and my last year we were number one seed in the NCAA tournament and Big East champs. So got to go through the whole gamut as a player, from worst to first.
So when you were a first-year coach, did you ever flex that authority at all on your former teammates that you used to play with? I didn't. I wasn't, that high up the food chain there as an assistant there. But just enjoyed and could talk to them on a different level about, Sure.
My experiences dealing with coaches from a player's perspective. So, a lot of fun. We had great players. Danielle Marshall was on that. Kevin Ollie was, Donnie Marshall, a lot of pros. So my first few years of coaching had some really, really good players.
Right. Coached at Stony Brook, obviously, for a long time on Long Island. Now the coach at Rutgers. It's a lot of time spent near New York City. So are you a New York sports fan, and those are your pro teams, or who do you root for?
I love it. Growing up in Connecticut too, you either had to root for, there were no pro teams in the state of Connecticut, so you were either a Yankee Red Sox or you were a Giants, New England Patriots. And my dad was a Yankee guy, and I became a Yankee and a Giants guy. And my wife, who's another Connecticut person, she became a Red Sox and New England Patriots. So our house is always divided on game days.
So, someone who follows sports media, I always hear the name Mike Francesca thrown out, the sports pope. Do you listen to him at all?
Absolutely. Yeah. I always listen to the fan, and all the great guys that have came through that. I grew up with Mike and the Mad Dog, and listening to them, going through, and still to this day, I always turn on the fan.
Just following up and finishing up with some Rutgers talk, and you have a reputation as being one of the nicest coaches in the league. Like, all the network loves you, obviously. But then when I think East Coast basketball, it's like a rugged, tough brand of basketball, and I think your team kind of embodies that. So, how do you mold a team to be, tough with that mindset, and also with you being, like I said, one of the nicer guys in college basketball?
Well, kind of a blue-collar coach. Grew up, under Coach Calhoun and learning how to play hard in the old Big East, which was rough and tumble. And I want my team to kind of exude those kind of traits too. Tough, and no one's going to give you anything, and that's how I try to get them to play. And I'm just thankful I got a great staff. Brandon Knight, one of the toughest players ever to play in the Big East. Carl Hobbs was a legend at UConn. Jay Young, who now has just moved on to Fairfield University, one of the great assistant coaches. Two in the country, going to be a great head coach. So you got a lot of credit goes to the staff, but your players have to buy in too. And I think I have good relationships with my players, and I think on the court they know it's time to practice and play and play the right way, and part of that is being tough.
All right. Last question, Steve. I want to get your outlook for your program moving forward. Obviously, I think everyone realizes it's trending in the right direction. You guys more than doubled your win total in year 3. So where do things go from here?
I'm excited. We have everybody back. I think we're one of the youngest teams in the conference. Last year, I think Maryland and us, 2 of the youngest teams in the league, and one of the youngest in the country. I now have a lot of returning players that I kind of know about. We had 6 newcomers this year, never played a minute in Big Ten. And I feel really good, about moving forward here with a little continuity, with our rotations. And we're going to go to Spain this summer. we're going to open up a practice facility, $100 million practice facility, which is going to be as nice as there is in the country. It's going to help us a great deal to development players. So I really feel good. We had 5 sellouts this year, up from 1 from the year before. So we're trending in that direction, but, got a great staff again, a great athletic director, Pat Hobbs, that I work under, who's really helping spearhead all the development and all the facilities upgrades that the university needs. So, I feel real good, heading into year 4, but it's the best league in the country. So you're going to play Hall of Fame coaches, you're going to play great players. So we have our work cut out, but I really like the way we're progressing.
All right, well, enjoy the offseason, enjoy Spain, and we'll be following you so we can move forward. Appreciate the time.
It'll be fun, and I appreciate you having me on today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, thanks once again to Steve for joining me. We'll wrap this episode up. It's a post-Final Four episode. We'll take 10 podcasts up with another Coll For The Culture segment. If you have not heard of the show or this segment before, we bring on assistant producer Colleen Degnan, and we get into the intersection of sports and pop culture. And in this episode, we'll talk plenty of post-Final Four topics and have some fun. So let's get right to it. It's the Coll For The Culture segment, and it starts right now. All right, we're back with another episode of Coll For The Culture. It's Alex Roux here with Colleen Degnan. Colleen, we've been removed from our normal recording spot. There's some conflicts going on right now in our studio, so now we're in kind of a conference room.
Feels like home, though. It's the Rose Bowl conference room.
Yeah, for you, yeah. I don't know. It remains to be seen if we'll be throwing off our game a little bit here, being in a different venue, but I guess it's just like players playing away from home.
And like spring cleaning.
Yeah, we're just like athletes. So
Feng shui our lives.
So if there's any humming in the background, apologies for that. But yeah, we're in the Rose Bowl conference room, and we got plenty to talk about coming off the Final Four. Sorry, Sparty did not get it done. I know we were both hoping for a Big Ten team to bring it home, but Michigan State did make it. Where did you watch the games this past weekend and Monday night?
I was on Saturday in River North at a fun local establishment.
Okay.
And then Monday's game I watched from the comfort of my apartment. But you got to watch Saturdays.
I was at the game Saturday. Michigan State losing, unfortunately. I decided to come home one day early and watch from the comfort of my own home. The seats in Minneapolis, not to complain, but just at the Final Four, just how big the football stadium is.
Gets to go to the Final Four, complaining about the seats.
It's just, you just can't see the game that well. So, I loved being there, obviously, loved enjoying the experience, but
give me your takes. How was it?
It was fun. It was cool. Minneapolis is a good host city. They built that stadium in a place that's convenient for everyone to kind of get around from their downtown hotels and restaurants to the stadium area, and we got lucky with the weather. The weather was pretty nice overall, really warm for Minnesota, and then now there's like a blizzard moving in there.
I know.
So
like
I can't imagine if the Final Four would have got snowed out. That would have been nuts. But
wait, comparison to last year, comparison to Houston, or wait, San Antonio.
Different. I mean, San Antonio just has kind of all their entertainment area in one spot, kind of on the Riverwalk. Minneapolis is a little more spread out. Minneapolis does have like a much bigger convention center, I think, where they were able to hold a lot of the kind of sponsored events. So you, with your ad of the week, would have enjoyed the kind of the activations that were going on there. A lot of orange vanilla Coke.
Did you try it?
No, I still haven't tried it. I should.
I will never try that.
That was my chance, but no.
Did a lot of Big Ten fans come out?
There were a lot. There was a lot of representation. That's one of my favorite things about the Final Four is that you see everyone kind of in their school colors, even if their teams didn't make it. So there were a lot of Minnesota Gophers fans there, obviously, with it being their home
sporting
town event. Yes, wearing their Gopher stuff. A good amount of other Big Ten fans. Saw a lot of Wisconsin fans there.
Supporting EHAP and Khalil.
Yeah, with Khalil Iverson in the dunk contest. He didn't do too hot. But we also had Ethan Happ and Jordan Murphy from Minnesota and Juwan Morgan from Indiana and Glenn Watson from Nebraska doing the 3-on-3 tournament, which got to take in at Mall of America, so that was cool. So yeah, we were all over the Twin Cities, and it was a good time. I was under the weather for a good amount of the weekend. I'm mostly back. I think it's been going around though. A lot of people have been sick, as far as I know. I don't know what the deal is.
I don't know. I've been taking my zinc every day, fighting with my immune system.
Yeah, so that's the secret. I need to take my vitamins. But yeah, I'm back, and I'm mostly back to full health. Can we talk about how lucky/good Virginia is, and how it basically got them to a title with their unbelievable clutch play?
Well, I mean, I just love the whole story. Starting from last year, being the number 1 seed in the tournament, and getting outrooted first round by 16th seed.
Yep.
So, and then coming back, and every single game was like, they fought to the end. So, like, I don't think, like, yeah, some people might argue luck, some people might argue refs calls, but, like, I think they played gritty, and I was rooting for UVA.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me, like, how from a certain point, each of those last 3 games against Purdue, against Auburn, and then the championship against Texas Tech, how they were dead in the water pretty much, and they were able to, at the very last second, pretty much find another gear, and with some fortunate bounces or calls or circumstances going their way, taking full advantage of those and turn it into a title. And you talked about Tony Bennett last time and how you're rooting for him. He's a hard guy not to be happy for.
Stand-up guy. I love him.
Like, how could you root against a coach like that who doesn't make it about himself, Dabo Swinney, makes it about his team, and just looks so harmless?
So harmless. And they haven't ever won a championship title before, so, I mean, I think we got to be happy for them.
I definitely am.
Zach guy is going to be the epitome of a meme for so long. His face.
Which guy?
Zach guy.
Who's that? Oh, no, Kyle guy.
Kyle guy.
You got your average guy name mixed up. Kyle guy. Yeah. Do you know Kyle guy used to have a man bun?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a weird look. I don't remember that. I don't remember when he had the man bun, but
the devastation from last year's tournament.
Yeah,
his face after he won this year's.
Yes. Okay, I know what you were talking about when his hands were in his face. Maybe his middle name's Zach. That's But do you want to hear about some of the funny things I saw?
Give it to me.
Over the weekend? Okay. One of the highlights of the weekend was at the game between Michigan State and Texas Tech. Obviously, it didn't go the way we would have preferred, but one of the most hype moments of the entire, I guess, both games was when they played the new hit song that everyone's been talking about, Old Town Road by Lil Nas. Is that
yeah?
Okay.
But the remix.
Yeah, and the remix includes Billy Ray Cyrus, which is great.
Which is legit.
Yeah. So Old Town Road, if people don't know, it's the song that goes. It's like country rap.
If you're asking me to sing right now, you think again. I'm not that dumb.
I wish we could play it, but I don't think we have the music rights to it. Anyway, he's got horses in the back, and it's just been sweeping.
It's a low-key banger.
Pop culture. It is. It's great, and I think it's kind of ushering in a new wave of country hip hop.
It makes it feel like summer too.
It does.
And it has that vibe that you just can't help but belong to it.
So anyway,
sorry.
Basically, the Texas Tech fans adopted it as their anthem this weekend.
Right.
And when they played it in the stadium, it got so hyped, with the Texas Tech fans singing along and basically turning into a mosh pit concert in their own fan sections, jumping to the beat. And so that got me hyped when they played Old Town Road and the beat dropped. So that was awesome. Another crazy part of the weekend, this was not so awesome if you're an Auburn fan, but the whole sequence of when the foul on the three-pointer in the corner happened, and Auburn fans, since the stadium was so big and cavernous, didn't realize that the foul had been called. They thought they had won the game, and the time had expired. I thought they had won the game. You can't even see at that end of the court that something had happened. And so
right back to the seats issue.
Yeah, exactly. So it was actually crazy. I've never heard boos that loud from Auburn fans.
Really?
It was super hostile in there after from the time that Virginia shot the free throws to when they ran off the court victorious. The refs had to run by the Auburn student section, and it was such a loud chorus of boos, and there were Auburn fans and students throwing stuff at the refs, coming off their pom-poms, their drink cups, whatever.
God.
It was a scene.
You would not want to be that ref.
Yeah, that was a scene. That's something that the CBS and the NCAA is not going to show on TV, probably just because it's not something they want to promote. But it was wild after that call. And I don't know, did you see the viral moment where I kind of went viral in the Final Four? Yeah,
Alex is going to plug himself right now.
Well, it fits with the situation.
Yeah, read your tweet. Do you have it on hand?
Yeah, I do. 1 second.
All right,
pulling up, and Colleen has it on her phone. And this is kind of my big moment of the tournament because I was lucky enough to see one of the biggest acts of stupidity / comedy at a sporting event. And I guess a lot of people agreed
that it was entertaining because it kind of took off in the Twitter sphere. So Colleen.
Yeah, here's Rox's one shining moment tweet, we can say. One Auburn student poured beer all over his head in the celebration, not realizing a foul had been called. Tough scene for that guy.
Yeah, it was a tough scene, and it happened just as I described. I didn't have a video, but I knew there was going to be a video that eventually came out because the fan that I mentioned was staring, basically doing it for the gram, like pouring it right into the phone of another girl who was recording him. And so I knew that the girl had that video, and sure enough, it came out, and that also went viral. So I'd like to think that I did a little bit to unearth
I mean, you got 16.4K likes.
Yeah, quite.
That's insane.
It went into the Twitter sphere and took off. Because who doesn't like, SEC fans making fools of themselves and getting just embarrassed. I feel bad. I do feel bad as a whole for the Auburn students because they thought it was over. They celebrated for a good 15 seconds or so, and that guy obviously was acting like a moron. But and he eventually got escorted out because he was like kicking stuff and destroying property or whatever. I don't know if he got actually arrested, but he definitely got kindly asked to leave the premises. But yeah, it was probably a top 5 funny moment I've seen in person as far as like a sporting event goes. Have you ever thought, Colleen, that something was in your grasp or that you won something and really it was just one big, just act of deception or one big failure like we saw the Auburn fan?
Like when Wisconsin almost won the national championship? Like, what are you talking about here?
I don't know, just like a moment like that.
Oh, God. Let me think. Well, I guess in lieu of wanting summer to almost be here, last year I was playing in a beach volleyball league. Well, beach is also asterisk term. I can't really consider the lakefront a beach, but regardless. Sand team.
Is there sand and is there water?
Okay, we're not getting into that
beach.
argument. It's not a beach. It's a lakefront. There's a huge difference. Anyways, last year I was on a beach sand volleyball team, and we were last place out of like 15 teams, and in the end in playoffs everybody makes playoffs because that's the beauty of Chicago sports. And we made it to the champ game, and I really thought we were going to have it. I thought my competitive spirit would help us edge out, and we lost.
Was it close? Like was it a
I think it went to 3 sets.
Was it a big call at the end of the game that was the bait and switch like we saw with our
I don't think we had any spectators losing their beverages over it, but I think it was up there with heightened moments.
Okay. That's not a bad example.
So, maybe some redemption this summer.
All right, so, yeah, like we were talking about, Virginia basically pulled this moment on 3 separate teams. Not in as dramatic or a fashion, I don't think, in the championship game. But Texas Tech was right there. They could have won that game. It was close. They were up 3 in overtime. It kind of looked like they were controlling the game.
An overtime game is just fun.
Yeah, it was a great national championship game.
Everyone thought it was going to be way more low scoring than it was.
Yeah, it started out like 3-2 in the first 6 minutes, and I'm like, oh my God, is this game going to get even into the 40s? And both teams picked it up and turned in a really good national championship game. And it was a good tournament. Like, we talked, I think, about how the first weekend was kind of a dud.
Right.
There was no buzzer beaters throughout the whole tournament, but the quality of the games really were elevated.
Some good basketball.
From the Sweet 16 on, really.
Yeah.
So
way to close off.
Yeah, let's put a bow on the tournament.
Some
it was
college
great.
hoops.
One more thing in Minneapolis. Cracked my phone a little bit in the corner.
Ooh.
So that's one souvenir I got to take home.
Having too much fun?
I don't know what happened. I was getting ready to leave on Monday morning and just kind of noticed, hey, my screen's cracked. So
it's okay.
But it's very minor. It's all right. So that's
gives it some character.
Yeah, yeah. So overall, very good weekend. Old Town Road swept the streets, and Minneapolis, as we knew it would be, is a good host. And as we get into our city bracket in just a minute to finish it up, I'm gonna retroactively put Minneapolis in because it deserves. It won me over officially. It deserves to be in the top 16 cities in the country. So before we get to that, though, Colleen, I know you like to do your weekly advertising spotlight. What do you have this week?
This week we're focusing on, everyone has seen it. You better have seen it. The Budweiser ad with D-Wade.
Yes, I actually saw it this morning, on the train in.
Were you brought to tears?
It was very emotional. It was really good. I've always liked Dwayne Wade. I think he's a good ambassador for basketball. He's always just a guy that seems very pleasant and always in a upbeat mood. He's never been somebody that brings a lot of drama or seems miserable like a lot of these other NBA players that seem to care about their personal clout or whatever. Like D-Wade's
totally.
D-Wade's always just been
kind of a positive ambassador for the game. So
yeah, I mean, and this ad's amazing. It's about his one last dance. So like all through this season, he was switching jerseys with other very popular NBA players whenever he went on different sites. And in this commercial, it highlights on all that. And then at the end, he's brought onto the court, and he doesn't know who he's about to meet and quote unquote like trade jerseys with or whatever. And it is different people that he's positively impacted or influenced throughout his life through his philanthropic acts or just being a standout guy. And it definitely is a tearjerker. It's emotional.
Yeah, it's really well produced.
It's an incredible ad.
I mean, I think the people there are 5 people, and one was his mom, whose her story's been highlighted quite a bit over the years, and how she overcame drug addiction to become a pastor.
One's a student that helped her pay tuition. College. Yeah.
One was the brother of one of the Parkland shooting victims, who was a big Dwayne Wade fan. I thought that was really
cool.
Yeah, because I do remember him putting the kid's name on his shoes soon after the aftermath of that. So that was a very nice gesture. I'm glad they were able to bring that back into the spotlight. And another was just a guy, I think, who was like more of an entrepreneur or something like that.
I'm just really inspired by him. Yeah. So he gave him his first blazer he wore on his job interview.
Was there anyone else?
No, I think those were it.
Yeah, but anyway, Budweiser did a really good job, well produced, and it was all brought together in a very heartfelt way, like you said. So, and you could tell Dwayne was genuinely moved by it. That's another reason. Like, he just seems like a genuine guy.
He seems like such a... And I love him and Gabrielle Union. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, and they're a big Nebraska family. They have a Big Ten tie-in.
Yes.
Gabrielle is a Nebraska fan and alum, I believe.
Yep.
And they have that kind of interesting and unique...
Perfect timing, too, as like the NBA is just going into playoffs. And
yeah, for sure. And it's sad that D-Wade is done, but shout out to him for a great career. I feel kind of old because I remember when he... A lot of these guys are now wrapping up. Like when I first started watching NBA,
25, super old, dude.
So speaking of ads, I want to get you in on this last week, but kind of forgot. But since, as I mentioned at the top of the show, and I do in the ad reads, we've got Northwestern University School of Professional Studies back on for another advertising campaign.
Love it.
We got to get them involved. I mean, we have to have you do an ad read or something coming up here soon.
I'm in it.
All right, you into it maybe next week?
Yeah, here we go.
Got to give them a shout out. Shout out to the sports administration.
Sports administration.
Yeah, master's program that they have going on there. You got plenty of people. I mean, all right, so I know a lot of people that work in sports went to get their master's, right? Do you know a lot of friends that did that? Not
for sports, but shout out to, I guess, Northwestern as a whole. My brother is graduating from their MBA program.
There you go. Kellogg?
Yeah, Kellogg. So nice. Almost there, bro. One last quarter. I hope you're listening.
Awesome. It's awesome that he got into Northwestern, because I didn't. But that doesn't mean you won't if you subscribe or if you apply for the program. All right, so shout out to them once again. Moving on, we got a big weekend coming up with a couple of cultural watch.
We have to asterisk this.
Watch experiences. So, question for you: are you a Game of Thrones fan?
So I really tried. I got through the first 5 seasons this past winter.
5 seasons?
Yeah, I think there's 9 though, right?
Yeah,
they're starting their 9. I don't know.
There's at least like
this is the problem. There's so many, and my roommate loves them.
I've never heard of somebody that's like gotten through a bunch and then didn't like just stopped.
Then a lot of things just started picking up in my life. I don't know. I couldn't fully commit, but I'm excited for everybody that is excited.
See, I'm not. I'm not into this because I have never worked up the courage to start. I was behind the 8 ball when they kind of got really popular, and I just never started because it was always so daunting. And everyone's like, "Oh, just get through the first couple seasons and you'll love it. Like you won't be able to stop watching. You'll binge it." And I just never started. And you're the first person now that I've heard that like got through the first few seasons and then just couldn't keep going.
Okay, I also read the first book and didn't like it, okay. and then that already a lot of people felt hostile towards me, and so then I had to start the show. I just don't think it's my genre.
It's such a cultural phenomenon that I feel so left out. Like so many people I follow on Twitter like will tweet the references. So many people I follow have like tweeted spoilers over the years that I think I probably know a lot about what happens. And again, like you said, I'm not big into the fantasy, dragon, bow and arrow, genre.
It's like a whole universe.
But then again, I know people that aren't crazy about that but still love the show. So I think I would like it. And now that's this time of year that I have to deal with now because I've been too lazy to start it, and I'm just sitting over here bitter that I'm not part of this big cultural phenomenon. And I don't know. I'm just gonna have to deal with it
Well, I guess.
Other tweet going to be about Game of Thrones?
You have until Sunday, so you've got 5 days.
No, my coworker, one of our coworkers here said like 3 months ago that he's going to start, and that would lead him right perfectly into the premiere of this season coming up. And I was like, yeah, I'll watch it with you, and we'll kind of keep track together. And he did, and I didn't. And here he's finished and ready to go, and I'm behind again. So
that's okay. Well, you can also focus on this weekend. Also,
Masters.
Yep.
That's another. I'm not a big golf fan.
Really?
So I don't like get worked up. Like I can appreciate the act of sitting down this weekend and just flipping on golf and kind of enjoying.
Oh, it's so leisurely.
Enjoying the pace and enjoying the scenery. And I know enough about golf that I can watch what's going on and get into it, but I'm not like looking forward to it.
Oh.
I know. What about you?
My family, huge golf fan.
Okay.
Great memories growing up. I feel like Masters always was around like a spring break, so not having a spring break kind of stinks, but still bringing back good memes. And
You'll be watching?
I will be watching.
All right. I'm sure I'll have it on. Like, I have friends that are big golf fans, but like working here, it makes it harder because there's a bunch of spring games this weekend, so I'll be focused on the off-season and spring football. I'm missing a Masters party that I was invited to.
More importantly, your social life.
Yeah, I'm missing a Masters party, so that would have got me into it a little more. So, yeah, big weekend for a lot of people.
Alex, you're not one of them.
I'm feeling a little left out. That's okay, though. It's also a big day for those of us with brothers and sisters out there. Is that correct? You've told me that there's...
Yeah, it's National Sibling Day.
National Siblings Day.
Which I feel like there's kind of a national day every single day.
There is. No, we use that as like a big social media tool for us. Like if it aligns with something that has happened that's relevant in the Big Ten, we will definitely use the national days to like highlight those videos or whatever we have.
Are there any like national sports siblings that you love? Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
I mean, there's the Morris twins in professional basketball. I'm trying to think. There's so many.
The Watts?
Yeah, the Watt brothers. That's a Big Ten one. With TJ, JJ, and what's the other one? It's not CJ. It's I don't know. Sorry,
the
Watt
third
brother.
one.
Yeah. But yeah, JJ and TJ are the big Wisconsin guys. So yeah, there's plenty that.
The Curry brothers, Seth and Steph.
Yeah, I think one of those is a little bit better than the other.
Okay, relax.
It is hard.
Rip City.
I mean, to get two guys in the NBA.
Yeah, come on, that's legit.
That's tough. So, how many siblings do you have?
3. Okay. I'm the baby.
I have 2. I'm the oldest. So
happy National Siblings Day.
Yeah, shout out to them. Where do they go to school? You mentioned one is at Northwestern.
Well, they're all like, the one sister.
If you're the youngest, then none of them go to school really anymore.
None of them going to school anymore, but so yeah, the one brother's finished up at Northwestern. The other sister finished up at UVA like a decade ago.
National champion.
So she was like wahoo wah.
Yeah.
I can't say though, she definitely only watched this weekend's game, so a little bit of a bandwagoner. So that's all good.
It makes me mad when I'm like, if my team was ever gonna win, I could say I've been there from the beginning, and then a lot of these people just parachute in. That's whatever. That's how sports go, though. So
are your siblings still in school?
Yeah, my brother goes to Illinois, and my sister goes to DePaul.
There you go.
Exactly. So, happy National Siblings Day to our kin. Speaking of your Blazers, I know you brought them up briefly just a moment ago. I have to ask, have you seen the star of the Blazers, Damian Lillard, on one of our BTN alumni's new shows?
Yeah, Taylor Rooks' show. I think her segment with Dame dropped today. Yeah, so I still need to watch it.
So Taylor Rooks was all over the place. BTN alum, Illinois alum. I think she was at BTN almost 3 years ago now. And now she has her own show on Bleacher Report called Take It There. She's also a friend of this podcast. She's been on one episode, so shout out to Taylor for that. And congratulations to her on her new show. It just came out. It was being promoted all across the NCAA tournament platform, so a lot of good exposure for her. And yeah, it's awesome that Damian Lillard was on there. Yeah, second episode, Jimmy Butler was the first one.
Yeah,
so did you get a chance to watch?
I haven't watched Dame's yet, but I know he alludes to talking about not needing any rings and sticking true to his team and his city.
I like that.
And he's just such a standout.
I like that because we kind of mentioned with D Wade how just sort of content he seems, and obviously it's easy to say that when he has 3 rings and he's such a great player, but so many NBA players, there's just so much drama surrounding a lot of them these days.
Well, NBA drama in general, huge news that dropped last night.
There's always somebody who's unhappy, or always somebody who's eyeing the contract of the guy next to him. Kyrie Irving's always looking for a way out. Kevin Durant, there's always rumors swirling about where he's going. But Dame Lillard and guys like Russell Westbrook, have stayed true to their cities.
Not necessarily giving into the whole super team.
And I can appreciate that. You know?
I love that.
I like the competitive edge. I know everyone's all about defending the guys that go to play with their friends or go to play with the super teams. I've never been as about that as everyone else. Like, I'm as pro player as anyone, but that doesn't mean that I don't think the league is better off when your stars are distributed throughout the league. And Dame's been a guy that has, like you said, stayed true to Portland and has said he doesn't need to join a super team. So you're lucky you have a star like that to cheer for.
What a guy. What a guy.
Absolutely. So Portland also is another city that didn't make our national cities bracket, but 16 cities did.
And we're down.
Actually 17, because Minneapolis is an honorary one that's in there now.
Down to the final 2.
We're down to the final 2. We've extended this over 3 weeks, 3 shows.
Definitely made some enemies.
Yep. We had some debates within the office and among friends.
Some angry DMs.
Yep. And there's only 2 cities remain, and we're going to decide right now. How's it sound?
Let's do it.
All right. So take me through the bracket, who's remaining, and who advanced to our Final Four last weekend.
So our Final Four, we had Chicago coming out of the NYC Chicago, and San Francisco defeated LA. So now we have Chicago versus San Francisco.
Okay.
I feel like you have some facts today.
Imagine that. I actually did a little research to
Mind-blowing.
try and fill in the attributes for each city and try and help make our decision a little bit easier. Chicago, we obviously know a lot about. It's our hometown right now. San Francisco is a place that we both have been.
Mm-hmm.
You've been?
I'm from a suburb.
I know you're from California, but okay. So I've got some fun facts, like you said. These probably won't mean much to us, but I thought it was fun to throw out. Anyway.
I like it.
Okay, Chicago, third biggest city in the country, 2.7 million people, with a 9.5 million population in the metro area. So that's pretty good. It's bigger than San Francisco, 7 million in the Bay Area, with 900,000 people living in the city of San Francisco. So that's how they stack up population-wise. Chicago's the second tallest building in the United States, the Willis/Sears Tower.
Have you been up there?
I have, multiple times.
Oh my God, absolutely not.
What? Not?
I'm horrified of heights.
Oh, I didn't know
I would
that.
never be
So you would never do like the glass walkway?
No,
no.
I
forgot what the box is called. It cracked that one day.
Yeah, the skybox or whatever.
Yeah, on the sky deck. I can't remember what the outwalk is called. It's fun. You should do it.
No.
What I don't like about the city or the building rankings that never made sense to me is that sometimes they count the antennas on the building and sometimes they don't. So like there's buildings in New York that are taller
but they don't count
than the Sears Tower. But because they count the Sears Tower's antennas, it counts as being taller. But then some buildings' antennas don't count.
Wait, also...
It's a very subjective, I think, ranking system. I don't know. It's weird.
Being from Illinois, do you care that it's now the Willis Tower? Is that like a soft spot for you?
Not really. Like, I'm not as sensitive to that. Like, I'll still refer to it as a Sears Tower, but I'm not going to get my undies in a bunch about it.
Okay.
So there's that. However, San Francisco's a very cool bridge. They have multiple bridges, but the Golden Gate Bridge is really cool. And I think the Bay Bridge is underrated as like a nice landmark. So, thoughts? Have you ever been on those bridges?
Yes, I have. They're nice bridges.
Okay.
But I feel like Chicago doesn't. What do we have? The Chicago Avenue Bridge? Like that's kind of unfair. You can't compare landmarks.
I'm not comparing. I'm just saying like cool landmarks. Like I don't know.
Have you like what?
We have the L.
Alcatraz?
We have the L. The Alcatraz would fit. We have the L. San Francisco has the cable cars. I'd say.
There you go. Those are, true.
Yeah. So, but although the L is like functional, the cable cars are like basically tourists.
They are tourists. The L's, yeah, they are functional.
Chicago's a way better skyline.
Really?
I mean, Chicago's the best skyline in the country, I think. New York maybe has a case to make there, but San Francisco isn't known for their buildings, you know. They have a lot of hills, I guess.
Which is amazing. They've got some actual incline.
They have more like novelty in San Francisco. They have like the Embarcadero, the Lombard Street with the twisting cars.
Yeah. There's not as many, I guess people would say like what? Michigan Avenue?
Yeah, I guess. I would compare some of the photo ops in Chicago, like at Millennium Park and the Bean.
Like what's more basic? Oh, fun.
So what's more basic? Pictures at the Bean or Mission Dolores Park in San Francisco?
Pictures at the Bean, 100% more basic.
Okay, because I've seen so many pictures in the last like few weeks, months of friends or acquaintances at Mission Dolores Park. Have you been there?
Yes.
Okay. It's a beautiful outlook of the city.
Absolutely.
Also very basic. You can take your blanket out there for a picnic.
For sure.
Hang out.
I mean, okay, we could also compare what shows that were set there. Full House.
Yes, Full House. What else is out there?
That's
like the one.
Okay, maybe that's all I got.
What about Chicago? Besides like Chicago Fire.
Shameless, hilarious.
Yeah, Shameless is a good one. iRobot was set here.
Really?
Transformers.
Isn't low key
Those are just the ones
Gotham City is Chicago.
In the Dark Knight, yeah, that's the best Gotham City. It's way better than New York. It's the Gotham City.
And whenever it's kind of foggy and weird, like right by the John Hancock, I'm like,
yeah, it's a cool setup.
Bruce is here.
They do have wine country.
For sure.
San Francisco. We got pretty good beer here, though. I feel like with Goose Island and Lagunitas.
Gal.
But San Francisco has Lagunitas too. That's
true. That's true.
Interesting.
Wow.
San Francisco, I looked it up. They were founded in 1776.
Oh,
pretty patriotic of them.
That is really patriotic of them.
I know. Chicago, I think, was founded a little earlier, but we also had a fire.
San Francisco also had a fire.
They did. They both had great fires. But one was caused
Fighting fire with fire.
One was caused by an earthquake, and one was caused by a cow.
True. So. Natural disasters also.
I'm just looking it up now, and Chicago's actually founded later than San Francisco in 1833. I guess there was like no gold rush here, so that's.
Does San Francisco have a flag?
I'm sure they do.
Because, you know how Chicago's flag is, really,
you can't beat Chicago's flag, though.
Yeah.
It's way more iconic.
To be honest, this could sound super ignorant. I didn't really know.
But California's flag is really cool.
California's state flag is sick.
With the bear.
But, Chicago's is just Chicago's.
Yeah, and it's also very iconic.
Super iconic.
So I don't know, how are we going to determine this?
I mean, coffee-wise.
Bias aside.
Coffee-wise, I'd give it to San Francisco.
Why?
Phil's coffee is unreal from San Francisco.
But they also have Pete's, which I don't really like that much. It's okay.
But, what is even from Chicago?
Coffee-wise?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly.
But they have everything that you want here. I don't know, what's unique to Chicago, though. So we're kind of just the melting pot of it. You can go anywhere and get any kind of coffee here because, it all kind of converges in the city.
I don't know if I agree.
It's cleaner. All right, Chicago's way cleaner. Let's be honest.
Chicago's unusually clean.
San Francisco is kind of a dump when it comes to, cleanliness. It's nasty.
It's just really congested.
It's congested. It's nasty. It's more expensive.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Chicago's not that cheap either, but at least it's manageable.
A little comparable.
Yeah.
Weather-wise though, San Francisco trucks.
Mm-hmm. It's the Bay Area is my ideal weather.
Yeah,
I don't even like it being that hot. I like 50 to 70. Maybe slight breeze, and it doesn't rain that much there, does it?
Not as much. No, it's very mild.
Although I've always been someone that is kind of an advocate for the seasons. I think it builds character. It makes people happier when it finally does get nice, like it was these last 2 days in Chicago.
Dude, but it's now April 10th, and there's maybe snowing outside.
It was bliss, though, these last 2 days. People were so happy.
Yeah, these 2 days were nice.
It's all right. It'll come back. It always does.
Today put me bitter funk.
It's all right. So we're going to have to decide here one way or the other. I don't know if you have any system or way you want to determine the winner.
I think
somebody's got to win.
I think I'm putting my vote to San Francisco.
I'm going to put my vote to Chicago. Let's determine how we did last time with New York and Chicago. Or no, it was LA and San Francisco we did.
Are we leaving it to rock, paper, scissors again?
Let's do it.
Alex.
We have to.
Okay.
I mean, it was basically a toss-up in the national championship. It's just one bounce of the ball this way, one call, one finger graze of the replay.
I have my Yeti full of water ready to toss on my head once I win.
All right, here we go.
On shoot, I forget.
Winner take all. On shoot.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Ooh, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Ooh, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, wow.
I won. It took us 4.
You could say that was an overtime win.
It took us 4 tries. We had 3 of the same on the first 3 rock, paper, scissors duels, but I ended up winning rock over scissors. And Chicago wins.
As the true adults we are.
Chicago wins.
Okay.
I don't have any problem with that. I've always said it's the best city in the world. I was willing to be swayed otherwise, but as I said, and as the rapper Lupe Fiasco said, city from the Midwest, best city in the whole wide world.
Oh, wow.
Chicago comes out on top.
Is he from here?
Yeah, that's literally what it says in the song. I'm from the city in the Midwest, best city in the whole wide world.
Wow,
so,
okay.
Chicago's your winner.
That
was fun. We went deep into April in our March Madness bracket.
Yeah.
It's April 10th. But
so if anyone still cares.
I think for those who have followed along these last 3 weeks, shout out to you guys, and hopefully we didn't anger too many people with our city rankings. So good stuff, Colleen. It was fun.
Amazing.
Got anything else?
hopefully next week will be collectively warmer. I don't know. I feel like it's April showers time now.
Yeah, it's that time of year. It's not a great time of year. April's not one of my favorite months.
I agree.
It's definitely bottom half of my rankings of months.
We could have done a bracket of the months.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year, but until then, I'll talk to you next week.
See you then. All right, thanks once again to Colleen, Coach Pikiell, and Coach Chambers for joining me. Another jam-packed episode. It's the last kind of main event of the college football and basketball seasons that we talk about. It's crazy, but spring and summer. Spring's here, summer's, right around the corner, and we'll definitely talk some more Big Ten related events as we move forward. We got the NFL draft coming up, NBA draft after that, and this kind of time of year opens up a lot of availability for athletes to come on and talk, so it's not bad in podcast terms. We'll definitely keep it moving, and we'll keep getting good guests here on the show. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thank you, as always, to Wes White and Julie Bronder for producing the show, and we'll talk to you next time here on the Take 10 podcast.